My name is Klaber. I'm with the Marcellus Shale Coalition, and it's great to be in this building today. It was 3 years ago when we had our first of what have been now dozens of supply chain events, and it was a chance to really talk to the businesses here in Scranton about how important northeastern Pennsylvania was going to be and has continued to be to the industry's successful development. At that meeting, it was great to see Borton Lawson is really a success story, and to have the Scranton business community involved, including Cain is Able. And here we are 3 years later with a tremendous amount of impact that this industry has had, and I've been charged with talking a little bit more about the economics. I mean, you've heard a great overview from Lou and Stephanie about what's going on in the ground, and I thought I'd put this into context in what is truly a geopolitical environment that we're in, with so many advantages, not just for northeastern Pennsylvania, but for our entire country and the globe. Very quickly on the Marcellus Shale Coalition, was started back in 2008 and formally founded in late 2009, so just over 3 years of operation. And in that time, grown to 300 members, and that's made up of a board of directors that are the exploration, production, and the midstream companies, and an incredible cross-section of the supply chain from products to services that are all very important to the successful development of the industry. It's exciting when we looked at the 2012 production numbers that over 96% of the gas that came out of Pennsylvania in 2012 was from our board of director companies, and a significant amount of the pipeline is also has been laid by MSC members. So very involved at the ground level on what's going on here in Pennsylvania. The Marcellus Shale Coalition is very much focused on the issues that are important to all of you, that are important to business and to the citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. These guiding principles we rolled out in 2010, and they have served us and the industry very, very well. These are the important issues that you wake up as parents, as citizens, as community members, and want to make sure get done right. And really everything that the industry is focused on falls into one of these very important categories. So where are we right now in the development? This picture shows that the North America, although this was really the start of the shale production revolution, North America is one of just many locations around the globe that has the kind of resource that can produce quantities of oil and gas that heretofore had not been realized, hence the term peak oil that was getting so much play just a few years ago. But what we do have here in the U.S. is a supply that has already been developed. There was a great article in the Wall Street Journal yesterday about what this U.S. shale development has done to Russia's view and its relative positioning with its neighbors in Eastern Europe. And so, we've got a lot of strength in what we're doing here in Pennsylvania because of the scale and the scope of the Marcellus. You could spend an entire couple hours just on this slide, but what it really shows you is, number one, the Marcellus and the associated Utica shale are the biggest from a footprint perspective in the country right now. It also shows you that we here are so close to the majority, or some of the biggest markets in the nation that use gas, not just for homes and businesses, but use it for manufacturing and other downstream opportunities. But also, that Marcellus shale on the map here is very close to the East Coast, in an area that has not been nearby development of oil and gas resources for a long time, as Lou pointed out at the beginning of his presentation. So the education is paramount, and if we don't help folks who don't see this every day understand that it can be done and is being done safely, there are challenges that we will continue to face, but I think we've come a long way on that front. When you look at this, the 2013 data out of the Energy Information Administration, which I encourage any of you interested in understanding where this industry is going, please use that as an incredible resource. But what it shows here is that not only is U.S. production of natural gas increasing, but the percent of that increase is coming disproportionately from shale gas. And among all that shale gas, the Marcellus, the kind of cream slice here, is the one that you can see right now is expanding the most quickly. In fact, in 2012, Pennsylvania produced about 10% of the nation's natural gas. That's a lot of natural gas coming when just a few years ago we were a net exporter as a state. You know, a lot of times you read in the paper gas, and you know, of course we think natural gas, but what is often meant by that is gasoline. And I think you see a lot of economists talking about energy prices going up. And what they are meaning is gasoline prices, but here this slide shows you that only a few years ago, natural gas and oil prices decoupled. In other words, they don't follow each other as closely as they have over time. So it's difficult to be talking about, you know, energy price trends when in fact those some may be going up while others are going down, and that's important to how companies select how they want to run their vehicles. It's important, obviously, to the broader economy and whether we drive more or not. And it's certainly important to downstream manufacturing when you have options as to whether what to use as your fuel to make your product. And I don't think there's been any doubt that manufacturing has had a huge advantage by having relatively cheap natural gas over the last few years, and you're seeing investments because of that. Exporting and importing is obviously something that comes from a global commodity. Here we are looking at what's happened to the U.S. in terms of our net imports of natural gas. Probably one of the reasons Russia is not so pleased is because we don't need to be importing that gas through import terminals on the Pacific coast of North America. In fact, there are about 30 export permits that are being considered by FERC and other regulatory agencies to determine what is the right amount of export where the United States can use our resources to assist our allies around the world. And for those of you who may have followed the recent trade mission that Governor Corbett took to Chile, it was fascinating to see and hear how much of those discussions were around energy. The coalition has several Japanese members who are obviously very invested in wanting to make sure that, that their country can benefit from allies who have a supply of this resource. Another important trend that has really been shaken up in the last year or so, you see last spring was the first time where the same amount of electricity was generated by gases from coal. That changes, that changes the dynamic for coal-fired power plants. It certainly is an important driver of some of the emissions data that Lou had shared with you earlier. And the increase in production, especially out of some of these wonderful wells up here in Northeast PA, this chart shows you a couple different things. Number one, that just about all the new wells being drilled now are horizontal. Just a few years ago, there was a variety of different configurations, but horizontal wells have become not only the most economic, but also has that reduced footprint that's so important to how this resource develops. But on the right-hand axis in those green dots there are showing the amount of production. That's where we get to that 10%, that 2.2 trillion cubic feet that were produced in 2012. So even as there's been some slowing down of the number of new wells being drilled because of the low price, the production that's coming from wells that have already been drilled, as well as a few still coming, of course, online. We've got a lot of gas, and we're going to have it to be produced out of this part of the country for years and decades to come. What's the economic impact? These are some really big numbers. With more than 4,500 wells being drilled in the last few years, there are estimates of well over $30 billion that have come into Pennsylvania for this. That's across a whole lot of different areas. All the companies who have benefited by contracting and subcontracting to the industry, a lot of the additional effects that happen in the community because of leasing and bonus payments. So landowners in this part of the country, by and large, are able to participate in this business, and it's also helps the state for revenue purposes. This is a compendium of a lot of the different revenue sources that have come to state and local governments as a result of the shale development here in Pennsylvania. Overall taxes, the sales tax, the corporate net income tax, the personal income tax, road construction. I know a few years ago we had a pretty quick spring thaw, and the roads needed to have a lot of investment that the industry stepped up and did. We're very diligent on making sure to keep those repaired, especially when our children are riding on school buses through those roads, and when our local businesses see that attention to detail as an evidence of our commitment to performing in Pennsylvania's communities. Royalty payments, as I mentioned, landowners having additional resources to invest the way they see fit, and the benefits to the community that come from that. Secretary Krancer at a hearing last year talked about $11 million in additional fees that has allowed the Bureau of Oil and Gas to open 2 new offices, as well as put well over 100 inspectors and additional permit engineers on the job, with a current impact fee increase pending right now. There will be additional dollars. And then the impact fee from both that was paid in 2011 and early 2012, a new line item for state and local governments, topping $400 million just in that short period of time. The savings to consumers are tremendous. This is a flyer out of an actual bill that arrived at my house a few weeks ago, and it was clearly written to be a rate increase, but the word increase had been swapped for decrease because the rates that consumers are paying are now showing the effects of the supply that we have here. But it's not just the consumers, it's the natural gas vehicle opportunities, and it's great to see folks in the room here talking about that as well. The consumer products, what happens downstream when we have local fuel that can provide the raw materials for a variety of manufacturing. I just wanted to wrap up with a term we call the Marcellus multiplier that has really served to encompass what goes on throughout the entire economy because of the investment being made in oil and gas development. Certainly you think of a lot of the companies that are represented here today as the core to that. However, there's so much supply, service companies, there's the beneficial impact on universities, on training entities, on catering, on dry cleaning, what really happens around that entire supply chain. In fact, it's now about a little more than $7 million would be an average amount of investment per well. That really, when you're drilling 4,500 wells to date, that really adds up. And more than 450 individuals in about 150 different job categories involved in each one of those wells. That's not even counting the midstream development that's so important to get that gas from the well to market. And every mile can be well over $1 million in investment with all the associated contractors involved with that. So there is a lot for everybody here. Sourcing locally is a critical part of not only the economic success of this industry, but also really working within the communities that we operate in. And in fact, the Marcellus Shale Coalition has a series of recommended practices. This is one of them that's on our website where we talk about what is the right way to go about doing this development. And over at our booth, we also have some of the associated materials that we produced for landowners to understand things like their water well tests. And all of that is important information to share and get out. Small business opportunities, there's a provision of Act 13 that does encourage the industry to work with small businesses, and any of you interested in participating on that, the Department of General Services website, we'd love to see as many small businesses as possible listing what they do in that website, so the industry is aware of that, as well as consider posting your company up on Marcellus on Main Street. This is a directory of all those across the entire supply chain who are involved, and the opportunity for testimonials about what this industry has meant for your top line and for the viability of your companies in the community. And then I'd like to end on just a comment about Shale Insight. This will be our third annual conference that we've held at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Philadelphia. There's a lot of conferences, as well there should be for the oil and gas industry. This one has really been positioned by the industry to provide a forum between leading public and private voices. And you will see a lot of local government, state government, federal government, decision makers, along with the industry working to solve these problems collaboratively. And that's the only way we're going to continue on this path for prosperity here in Pennsylvania, and especially here in the Scranton area. So it's been a real pleasure to be with you here today. Lots more to come, and look forward to taking questions. Thank you.